Hello, Miss Gromberg here. Today we're going to continue reading The Echoing Green by William Blake. So make sure you've seen the first video where we read the first stanza. Today we're going to read the second stanza. Old John with white hair does laugh away care, sitting under the oak among the old folk. They laugh at our play, and soon they all say, such were the joys when we all girls and boys in our youth time were seen on the echoing green. Okay, so today we're going to do something similar as yesterday, but now I'm going to change my picture and I'm going to draw an old man, except because I need to write in it, so I just made it like this. But sometimes drawing the picture helps a visual. This is, they call him Old John with white, oh, he has white hair. I should have drawn some hair on him. Let's do that quickly. He can have spiky hair. I was thinking maybe he could be bald, but there we go. Okay, there you go. That's Old John. So we're going to read this poem 3 more times, or this stanza, so this section of the poem, 3 more times. And first I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it again and focus on what do I see, and then what do I think, and lastly, what do I hear as I read the poem. It's great to read and reread and reread because we get something new every time. Okay, so, and if you're rereading and you're like, nope, this is the same, then you definitely want to slow down your thinking and maybe even write it down. Maybe notice the rhythm, notice, just try to find something new. That's a skill. That's something that we're working on with this, okay? So it's a great skill to have, and it will help you with many things and in school and life. It's a great skill to have, okay? So what do I see? I'm going to read it again and write down the things I see. So Old John, well, I see an old man with white hair. Okay, so I see an old man with white hair. And sitting under the oak. So he's sitting under a tree. I imagine it to be a warm day. He's probably under the tree to be in the shade. So I can infer that. They laugh at our play. So I see children playing, and soon they all say, okay, so I see children playing. Da, 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 da. And soon they all say, such were the joys when we all girls and boys in our youth time were seen on the echoing green. All right, so I'm gonna move on to I think, and for that, I'm not going to actually read it again because I found that part interesting, that last part. So I already know what I want to write for I think, but of course, yeah, I do want you to read it again and then write I think. So I see an old man with white hair sitting, oy. That's why we need to proofread. I wrote sitting under a tree. I do that all the time, so proofreading is especially important for me. I see children playing. Okay, so that's what I see. I think, this is about like a man, Old John, and I think, yeah, he's reminiscing about his youth, and I imagine he's sitting there with his friends that he's known his whole life. Like they used to play on this field together. So I'm kind of imagining that. But I'm also thinking about my friends, my best friends I met in grade 3. Okay, that was a long time ago. And we're still best friends today. So super thankful to have such wonderful friends. But I can imagine, as we used to always say, or we still do this actually, since grade 3, we'd write friends and then forever, friends forever. And then, so we always pictured ourselves one day being old and like still like laughing and having fun together. And I mean, I'm sure that's going to happen one day because we're not old yet. So I picture Old John to be 80. That's what I kind of picture. So think about, how old do you think he is? You might think like, okay, like because you're in grade 3, you might think 60 is old. To me, that's not old anymore. But when I was your age, I thought 40 was old, and oh dear, don't think that's old anymore. Okay, that's not old at all. So I think, so that's a matter of perspective, right? So I picture him. So I think old John's about 80. Old John is close to 80 years old. And yeah, and I think he's with his friends he's known for his whole life. He is sitting with friends he has known since he was a kid. Yeah, and they're having fun, they're laughing, and it makes me think, so I make a connection about my childhood friends. So I'm just gonna put connection. It's like the infinity sign. I'm just doing that rather than write connection, it's faster. Connection with my childhood best friends. Okay, so there I wrote what I think, and you might think something different. That's totally wonderful. Okay, so as long as it makes sense with the text that you're reading, if you said something like, oh, I think John is a young guy, well, no, because the text, the poem tells us he's an old man, so it just can't contradict what you've read. So I think old John is close to 80 years. He is sitting with friends he has known since he was a kid. And it doesn't say that, so that means I'm making an inference, right? That's what I'm picturing, that's what I'm imagining. And the reason I think that, he says, in our youth time, we're seen on the echoing green. So he's talking about when they were kids, like, and they played on the field. I'm picturing echoing green must be a field, but you might think something else. You might have a different idea. So my connections with my childhood best friends, and us saying how we'll be friends forever, and then we could just picture us as being old and still being best friends and talking about this sort of stuff, reminiscing about our youth. Okay, so I have one more part, and it's what do I hear, right? Once again, the title's Echoing Green, so there's a sound. So the sound must be important in the poem, right? If it's called echoing. I found that very interesting. So I hear old John with white hair does laugh awake here. So I hear laughing. So it's John, but there might be more laughter. I kind of feel like there's lots of laughter. So I'm going to just put laughing, because he's among the old folks, the older people. They laugh at our play, and soon they all say, so I hear them laughing and talking. I'll just put old folks, old people, I don't know. But that's what they say here. And then, yeah, they're talking. So I'm not going to write down what they said. That's fine. But he says, such were the joys when we all girls and boys in our youth time were seen on the echoing green. Yeah, and I think they don't say it, but like if they're sitting there watching the kids, I can hear kids playing, the sound of children playing. So what does that sound like? They're sitting far away, so they probably can't hear exactly what the kids are saying, but they can probably hear chatter. And they can probably hear them laugh too. Okay, hopefully all happy sounds. It sounds like a happy poem, so I'm going to keep it happy for now, or for like the stanza. So I hear laughing and talking from the old folks, and the sound of children playing, chatter, and laughing. So once again, you could do this sort of activity to show me your understanding of the second stanza, or you might choose your own. And I think like with poetry, it's really great because it's encouraging you to be creative. There aren't like these set rules like there are when you're writing, right? You have to have periods, you have to start with a capital. Poetry, you can break the rules, okay? You have the right to make it your own and unique. So while we're reading other poetry, like while we're reading this, yeah, he follows grammatical rules, but yeah, it has this different flow, has this beautiful sound to it, and he's telling a story. So we're going to hear the end of the story tomorrow. So I look forward to sharing it with you, and see you then. Bye for now.